Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavan. We get a little more volume. Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavan Isware Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. We are carrying on. I should say that I have seen so many flower outfits over the course of my Krishna's grace, so many years here. And this is one of the sweetest, most beautiful flower outfits that I've seen. So I don't know who all the pujaris were, but fantastic, and thank you. The other thing is that we were talking this morning about what was the age difference between Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And interestingly enough, I got a email when I got home and checked my email after the morning program, and there was a message from Banu Maharaj, who is one of our great scholars. And he said in the Gopal Champu by Jiva Goswami, it's a year and a fortnight, so a year and 14 days. So we have one from Rupa Goswami and another from Jiva Goswami, and the way of reconciling those is that Radharani appears in different ways and in different times as we described. But that 1 year and 1 fortnight, 14 days is also a very bona fide answer confirmed by Jiva Goswami in the Gopal Champu. So, I think this will be self-explanatory, but there's also to encourage us. We were talking earlier, there's Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana, these three phases of devotional service. Sambandha meaning one actually understands the relationship of everything. I'm spirit, soul. Wait a minute, this is not my real home. I'm not this body. There's the spiritual world. There's Krishna, the supreme controller. There's the eternal residence of the Krishna Loka. All of that, Srimati Radharani, it all comes into, we're aware of it, the pieces of the puzzle. Then when we start acting on that platform, with that knowledge is infusing our activities, decisions, consciousness. That's called abhideya, when we function on that platform. So one is understanding the relationships, the next is functioning on that. And of course, like we were saying, you plant the seed, you water it, you take care of it, it grows and it produces a fruit or flower. So the fruit of the process of devotional service is prayojana. Of course, there's different phases of prema and all of that, but it's talking about the fruit. What is the benefit? What is the result? So this meditation on the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani is meant to encourage us to surrender and encourage us to stay the path. It is not, as Jayadvaita Swami told me as a young bhakta, it's not easy being a devotee. In fact, it can be quite difficult being a devotee. There's a lot of hurdles. Change is difficult, to look in our own heart and face up to it, to control the mind. If you have a wild horse, you see it's taking its meals in the meadow, chewing the grass, looks very sweet and peaceful, right? Picture a sylvan scene, pastoral scene. There's a wild Mustang there. Looks very peaceful. What happens when you put a saddle on that wild horse and try to ride it? Does it stay peaceful? Oh, it becomes a wild ride. So as long as people are letting the mind go wherever it, I know not where I goeth, but I'll be where the wind bloweth. When, the goal of life is to fulfill all of our desires. Sure. On one hand, it appears easy. And to control the mind, whoa, then you realize, wait a minute. What's, how much like a lamp in a windy place. So, to stay the course, these meditations on the feet of Srimati Radharani are both meant to encourage us, to stay the course, what will be the fruit, that Srimati Radharani is helping us, guiding us, helping us, sustaining us, the wings, the wind upon our sails, carrying us forward. So those are some of the values of this meditation. So there it is. Now, and I need that clock. I'd get up, but it'll take too much time. Yeah, just put that clock right here so I can try to keep an eye on things. Thank you, Prabhu. So this is, thank you very much. You can't see a thing. This is written by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, one of our great acharyas, and you can see that he was living about, whatever it is, 500 years minus a few. So, and one of the marks is a conch shell, like we offer for arti with the conch with the water. And it says that Srimati Radharani's feet are like the water within a conch. They put out the fire of material existence. Just like there's so many forest fires. I think there's how many forest fires burning in Northern California? A couple hundred? Something like that. It's some of the worst fire season ever. And ultimately, what can they do? They really have to admit, they say, we are simply praying for rain. So we also sing the samsara prayers, that blazing fire. Ultimately, we can't really solve the problems of life. They're unlimited. There was a Dr. Northcraft from Arkansas, and he used to visit our temple. This was in Ann Arbor, and he had all kinds of Oki sayings. He's a smart guy, actually. So one devotee was saying, this happened, and I got solved that, and then this happened. And so the devotee said, if it's not one thing, it's another. You ever heard that saying? If it's not one thing, it's another. So Dr. Northcraft said, no, son, it'll be both. So that is the nature of this world, and really trying to solve it is just Govinda Das says we're like a drop of water on a lotus leaf, and you just see it beads up, and the lotus, little wind, and it'll fall right off the pad. So the only way to put out the fire of material existence is to take shelter of Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. And as we were saying earlier, she's unlimitedly merciful, and she sees our effort. She does not. It says in the Sri Upanishad that even I may forget you, please don't forget me. The devotee is praying like that. So Srimati Radharani sees the efforts of the devotees trying to serve Krishna. And she helps us. So one way she helps is putting out the fire of material existence. Or a flag. Taking shelter of her lotus feet brings victory, guidance, protection, and success. Just like on a battlefield, if the flag is waving, they know, okay, we still have a chance, or they know we're the rallying point, or great kings, they travel with who was on the flag of Arjuna has Hanuman on his? Yeah, he has Hanuman, and who has, is it Parikshit Maharaj, has Nrsingadev? Who does he have on his? Anyway, I think it's Nrsingadev. So the flag, this victory, that if we surrendered, there's an alternative. The point is that this is not what we're meant for. We're not meant to just scrape a little matter together, try to suck a little paltry pleasure out of it, and then get knocked off the box and who knows, destination unknown in our next life. That's not what human life is for. So there's victory, there's success, there's freedom. Yeah, shut off your phone. Off. That'll be a victory right there. Okay. There's a fish. Where do we find fish? What is the famous saying? I feel like a fish out of water. So a fish, how can he live outside water? He dies. So the devotee feels without the shelter of Srimati Radharani, without engagement in devotional service, how can I live? What is that life? A devotee also feels that it is dry. It is barren to live without devotional service. Also, where do we see our fish static? I think even shark, when they swim, they have to keep moving. So a fish is always moving, always flitting this way and that. So the mind is always flickering this way and that, but it'll find shelter at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. And also whoever meditates on Srimati Radharani, like devotees, they become decorated, Ratnabhushan, they become decorated with all good qualities. A sincere devotee cannot stay hard-hearted, cruel. We have Magrari the hunter is the classic example, half killing animals. And then later on when Narada Muni and Parvat Muni came to visit him, I think Parvat, I forget who the other sage was, he wouldn't even step on ants. He was dancing this way and that. So you have, anyway, so many examples. So if we want to become, Jayadvaita Maharaj was one time, another reason for meditating on these. Jayadvaita Maharaj was, he told me, he was in JFK Airport, New York, and he was going to India or somewhere, and he was changing some dollars, so we would have the local currency. So he's at one of those change houses, little kiosk there. And there's a lady in there. And she, they don't even look up, but she happened to look up, and she noticed Saffron, nice tilak, nice sannyasi, shaved head. And she said, that's what I like, in her typical Brooklynese, she said, that's what I like about you Hare Krishna people. You are what you pretend to be. She meant to say you are what you're supposed to be, but she didn't get it quite right. But the thing is, everybody's pretending to be something. But for the devotee, we just want to serve Krishna and become Krishna's devotee. So for such a person, they become decorated with all good qualities, that sweet innocence of devotion. And we will become decorated with all good quality, without separate endeavor. Lotus, that's another mark on her feet. By taking shelter of her lotus feet, a devotee transcends material nature. Lotuses like growing in stagnant water, murky, stagnant water. They like that muck. They do. But the stem comes up, and the flower blooms above that, like it says in Gita, from an unclean, above an unclean place. Also, Radha, the goddess of fortune. We were just reading the other day. Is it who the king is addressing? Oh, you must be the goddess of fortune, but where is your lotus? So the goddess of fortune is always carrying a lotus flower of good fortune. And we know that Srimati Radharani is the original goddess of fortune. Elephant goad. Anybody ever have trouble controlling their mind? I don't know about you, but I have a little difficulty sometimes. The mind is, and Krishna certifies in Bhagavad Gita, more difficult to control than the wind. So an elephant is, like where does the 2-ton gorilla sit? The answer is anywhere he wants. So if you ever try to get in the way of an elephant, who's been to Mayapur? Who's been close to an elephant? Can you just easily tell her, oh, go the other way? No, they go where they want to go. But they're very sensitive behind the ear, where the ear is flapping. That area is extremely sensitive, like a bull with a ring through the nose. And they have this elephant goad, the mahout, what are they called? Yeah, mahout. The mahout who guides the elephant, he has this little stick like this goad, and he can easily control that big elephant. So in a similar fashion, the mind appears impossible to, but if we simply think of Srimati Radharani, how can I serve her, what is her mercy, then the mind becomes able to control. We can't do it independently. Barley corn. When we do swaha, you offer barley. Barley, if one is very, very sick, can't digest anything, they boil barley in water and you drink the water. Barley is extremely nutritious. So just as barley is one of the essential grains for nutrition, taking shelter of Radharani's feet, serving Srimati Radharani, that will nurture our devotional service. And she is that's the other thing. It's very small grain. You've seen the size of so very small. So all of our troubles, all of our issues become very, very small by the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Crescent moon. Her feet destroy darkness and fear. When it's dark at night, that's when the thieves come out. And very dangerous, they have street lights out. You break a street light, it becomes a crime center. You got to have light, right? So Radharani's feet are like the soothing moon. And they're much more soothing than the earthly moon. Therefore the moon, there it says, the moon seeing the beautiful Srimati Radharani's beautiful face, beautiful lotus feet, it's defeated. So from a full moon, it wanes, it feels defeated, like if you hang your head down in shame. So the moon is the beautiful, soothing, silvery moon. So many songs, so many odes by Shakespeare about the beautiful silvery moon, but it's defeated by the moon, by Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. Also, and I just found this out, Lord Shiva has a crescent moon. You see pictures, he has a crescent moon on his forehead. But that crescent moon, when it bows down at the lotus feet of Radharani, so even though he's Lord Shiva, so powerful, he bows down to the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Shiva has that crescent moon because during the Daksha fest, when Daksha was cursing and counter-cursing, and that whole thing was going on, Chandra was on the side of Lord Shiva and was cursed by Daksha and was fleeing in fear, and he had nowhere to take shelter. And Lord Shiva said, "Here, you take shelter on my head." So he took shelter in the locks on the forehead. So that's why there's a crescent moon on Lord. But even the powerful Lord Shiva is defeated and bows down and prays for the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Upward curving line. One should cling to her lotus feet like a lifeline. We have the classic example, if you fall in an empty well, dry well in India, you used to see them in the old movies in America, you know, Lassie or whatever, when everyone used to live on the farms. People used to fall in dry wells. It still happens sometimes. It's a big thing in the newspaper. Someone falls in a well. How to get them out. So what do? You lower a ladder, you lower a rope, right? That's necessary. But is it sufficient? Will that alone do the job? What else has to happen, Alex? Bhakti Glenn, you're in a well, trapped. I lower you a rope. Okay. Job done? You got to grab on. You got to climb up. We have to take the initiative. So we should, Prabhupada, Govardhana asked Srila Prabhupada in Detroit, Prabhupada, when you go before the deities, what are you praying for? Anyone know Prabhupada's answer? I'm praying to Srimati Radharani that I will not fall down. And Prabhupada says that there's the monkey way and the cat way of carrying their children. You learn everything. You read Bhagavatam, everything's in there. Anyone know what the monkey way is? How does the monkey baby, how is he or she carried? You know, Ram? Monkey hangs on for his life. And sometimes they fall off. Mother's jumping, this and that, right? He's holding on by his own strength and very precarious. How is the kitten carried? The teeth of the mother. And sometimes, I don't know if you have this experience, but sometimes the mouse is experiencing those teeth in a different way. But the kitten is purring. Being carried by the mother feels like loving embrace. So when the kitten is held by the mother, very secure position. She doesn't drop him. So similarly, if we need to hold on to Radharani's lotus feet, and she will give us shelter. Also, the path of bhakti is direct and certain. Doesn't Jesus say that? My way is straight and narrow, and the road to hell is broad and wide. So it's very simple. Simple for the simple, difficult for the crooked, Prabhupada used to say. And the last thing is that, who are we? I mean, I can speak for myself. We are, in all honesty, the bottom of the barrel. Everybody else with a brain got out. They got out in Satya Yuga, they got out in Treta Yuga, they got out in Dwapara Yuga. And those of us left, of course, you were all great souls who took birth to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. But Srimati Radharani, she does not distinguish. So it reaches even down. So nobody's hopeless. Nobody can say, I am hopeless. Disc, we know Krishna's Sudarshan chakra. Meditation on her feet cuts away lust, greed, anger, illusion, bewilderment, and envy. Sound like a good deal? Anybody ever plagued by these things? Ever poked by these things? Just meditate on Radharani's lotus feet. And meditation on Radharani's lotus feet means you will get inspiration how to serve. Srimati Radharani destroys the darkness in a devotee's heart. It's called Krishna's Surya. We have the sun of Krishna's holy name that illuminates the heart. So also meditation on Radharani's feet cleanses all the darkness from the heart. Umbrella. Bhakti protects from the rain of material distress. It's a real swamp out there. but the umbrella protects us. She's the queen of the realm of bhakti. Like a noble person goes out, you hold an umbrella over them. There you see the kings and the queens, they always have an umbrella over them. Those who take shelter of Radharani's lotus feet become exalted like great Maharajas. Also, it doesn't say here, I should add it, but also, if it's very hot, what do? Prabhupada came to America. What did he have, along with everything else? He had his nice black umbrella. And anyone who's been out in the hot sun in India, you take an umbrella. You go to Thailand, you go to Burma. You're smart people, they got an umbrella. So this world is scorching hot or pouring rain. Let's get under the lotus feet of Radharani for protection. Because there is no other. Chariot. Chariot of the mind can easily be controlled by fixing it on Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. Big lumbering Roth cart. How will you stop it? Under Radharani's lotus feet. Club. I love this picture of this elephant. Does he look like he's in a happy mood? You want to go shake hands with that guy? What do you think? So mad, the mind, lust is just rampaging. People think, passion killings. The girlfriend leaves him, they go shoot her girlfriend, they shoot the boyfriend. Girlfriend leaves, they shoot themselves in the head, jump off a bridge. People do all kinds of things blinded by lust. They complete. Bill Clinton ruined his presidency, ruined his reputation, years of austerity, because he couldn't control lust for some, whatever. Foolish. So hot, but it's so powerful. But you give that elephant lust a big club in the head, it's going to cooperate. So Radharani's lotus feet, it's a big club. Because we're all lusting after something, but if we get a taste for Srimati Radharani's lotus feet, that taste of service, of surrender, nothing tops it. Like I didn't say, like Jayadvaita Maharaj said, there's only one thing harder than being a devotee. It can be tough being a devotee. It's not for the faint of heart, trying to surrender to Krishna and control the mind and the senses. What's the only thing harder than being a devotee? Yeah, not being a devotee. They really get belted. With no relief. Earring. Krishna's ears are always tuned to the sound of her ankle bells, her beautiful singing, the rhythm of her love poems, and the intoxicating ragas of her veena. So just like the earring never leaves the ear, his ear is completely tuned for hearing these aspects of Srimati Radharani. Mountain. Even though Govardhana is worshipped by all of Braj, Govardhana Hill especially serves the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Radhakund, Shamakund. He particularly is serving Radharani. When Radharani's in a hurry, Govardhana Hill and Braj can expand and contract. It is not an ordinary track of, 64 koshas or whatever it is. Like a lotus flower closes and opens to facilitate the pastimes. If Krishna's got to get back quickly, wrap up his pastimes, daytime pastimes with the gopas and get back, it closes so he can then engage in his evening pastimes. Whatever it is, just to facilitate the pastimes, Vrindavan expands and closes. Sins of those who meditate on her feet are burned up like grains in a jugga. As Brahmins are spiritually nourished by offering sacrifice, those who offer their minds in meditation on her feet are enriched and nourished in devotion. You want to give it all up? You want to get free? Swaha. Just give your life, give your energy, mind, give it to Radharani. Bracelet. Her feet are always present in Krishna's hands as a bracelet always accompanies the hand. Shakti or spear. Her feet slash all the miserable bonds of mundane life. She is the source and reservoir of unlimited Shakti, unlimited power. Look at Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada's father used to pray. What did Prabhupada's father used to pray? What did he ask did his son become? A pure devotee of Srimati Radharani. And Prabhupada, was it 70 years plus? 65? How old was Prabhupada? He became in 1965 at 70 years old. Yeah. So, anybody here 70? I mean, of course, Dravidas, you can say, well, there's a good example. How is it possible that someone, look at Srila Prabhupada, look at devotees, how are they able to perform so much energy, so much service? Because they're enlivened, they get some mercy from Srimati Radharani. Also, this trident is 3, tri. What are those 3 Radharani slashes, defeats? What are those 3 things? Okay. But I was thinking, what's stated is the 3 modes of material nature. She slashes goodness, passion, and ignorance. Flower, we're getting close to the end. The divine fame of her feet spread everywhere like the fragrance of a flower. You know, a nice flower, perfumes. If you go out here in the evening, this cup of gold, it's called Angel's Trumpet or Cup of Gold, perfumes the whole garden. They're not hard, but soft like lotus petals. We were talking how Krishna can be hard as a thunderbolt, soft as a rose, but Radharani is always soft. Just as every fruit comes into being after the plant blooms, similarly all spiritual fruit comes into being after first blossoming at the soles of her feet. You can become a big yogi, you can become a big jnani, you can become so many different things. Okay, good luck. But unless you take shelter of Radharani's lotus feet, you will not get Krishna Prem, which is the only thing of value in this world. Creeper, this is the last one. Creeper or a vine. So you see here how a vine, it always needs support. It's climbing onto something, you know. The Bhakti Lata Bij grows until it gradually takes shelter of Sri Radhika's lotus feet. So we're engaging in devotional service, and we will be able to take shelter of Radharani's lotus feet, and then we'll be able to grow securely back to the lotus feet of Krishna. Her feet are found in the forest of Vrindavan, where there's many vines and creepers thrive. Her feet wander amongst the vine-laden kunja mandirs, you know, the beautiful flower huts throughout Braj. As vines are also medicinal Ayurvedic medicine, Sri Radha is the supreme goddess of herbal medicine. Her feet are the ideal medicine for curing the disease of materialism. We need, what is that medicine? Radharani's lotus feet. So there we are. The perfection of meditation and the source of all blessings are Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. All righty. Now, what time is it? Huh? Maybe I'll read 2 more pastimes from Venu Gita and then we'll be done. So we can click on the lights. And Dravida Prabhu, do you want to say anything? You have a poem? I'll read 2 short pastimes, and that'll give you time to think of something to say. And if anybody else has something they want to say from Shastra, that will be good. As we appraise the the excellent flower outfit, all the devotees came together and cooked a nice feast. I think we should, like Krishna's full, fuller, and fullest, so there's different degrees of perfection. I think we should all thank Bhakti Jamal for that excellent Radhastami cake. It was excellent in 2 aspects. There are 2 fields of knowledge. There's theoretical knowledge and there's realized knowledge. I have seen many cakes that look good, look fantastic, but they're dry, or to put them together, the frosting is, you could use it as spackle. But this cake, both in theory, it looked beautiful, and it tasted first class. So thank Bhakti Jamal. When did you start working on it? This is devotion. We don't just slap something together, but you make a plan, you think about it. The mind is always going to be making plans. You cannot stop it. Classic example. We're going to do a thought exercise here for a moment. Okay, Prabhus? Now, clear your mind. Hopefully you're meditating on Radharani's lotus feet. But just for fun, I want you to not think about the color red. Do not think about the color red. How's that working out for you? Red, 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 red. It's all you can think about. So this idea of the mind becoming vacant or fixed in oneness, it is all rubbish. It cannot be done. The very symptom of life is activity. But one can fix one's mind on this, make plans for how to serve Krishna. And we read, what are the two qualities we read this morning about Radharani? If you want to get her mercy, we've seen the potency of Radharani's lotus feet if we get her mercy. What are the two aspects we described this morning? What's one of the two essential keys for getting Radharani's mercy? To connect the conditioned souls with Krishna's lotus feet, to take them by the hand and put them in Krishna's hand, to connect them with Krishna again. That is the Sankirtan mission. So that is Radharani. She's always bringing the gopis, all different living entities, how to engage in Krishna's service, how to get shelter of Krishna. So that's one way. What's the other way? Serving well, 2 points for you. Get an extra slice of cake. Serving the Vaishnavas. So my point is that everyone is making plans. You cannot stop making plans. So let us take that propensity to make plans, how to serve Radharani, how to serve Krishna, and how to do that by spreading his glories, by spreading her glories, the Sankirtan mission, and by serving the Vaishnavas. It's not complicated. Balaram, do you know Prabhupada's example of touch your nose? I know you know it. So, everybody observe Balaram. Balaram, please touch your nose. Yeah, he's going like, no, that's Prabhupada's example. What's the difficulty? We just engage. We're all serving someone. Let's just serve Krishna. Everybody wants to decorate it. What is the latest fashion? Tadit, Mataji, Swavasa's wife, who runs the gift shop, which, post-COVID actually was the main source of income for the LA temple, the gift shop. 1 year in gross sales was over $1 million in gross sales. She's expert in running that gift shop. So she always knows what's the fashion color of the year. And because believe it, I was describing it, there is a fashion color of the year. I looked it up. It is fresh green is the fashion color this year. It's not mint green. It's not forest green. It's not sea green. It's a fresh lime, almost green. That's the fashion of the color of the fashion this year. So everybody's trying to decorate them. Everybody's got a uniform. These skaters, punkers, they all got a uniform. Oh, I'm, raging against the machine. They all have a uniform. They all got their tattoos. They got their hair. Everybody's got a uniform. I'm sorry. They all think they all got their niche. They all got where they fit. And they all think, well, I'm too cool for you. I'm free, But if we just make plans, everyone's making plans. Everyone's got an identity. Let's just make that identity. It's simple. Let me just engage everything in Krishna's service. Okay, 2 pastimes, and then we'll take some poems from. And this is from Venu Gita, which is a we should read Radharani's 25 qualities. So we were saying that Krishna has how many transcendental qualities? 64. How many does Radharani have? 25. Now, you would think 64 will trump 25, isn't it? By her 25 qualities, she completely controls Krishna. And he likes it. She's sweet. We all have to serve somebody. We want to serve our mind, which is never satisfied, our senses, which are never satisfied, our boss, who will drop us down a shaft. Everybody now, many people. My father, and this was the 50s, 60s. You worked at the same place. You had a pension when you retired, full pension. You could pay off your house, put your kid through college. You had a maid. You had health insurance. That was the American dream. Now everybody works at will. They can drop you down a shaft with, a moment's notice. That's the general. Who are you going to take shelter of? You love someone, they could drop dead from a heart attack. There was a famous couple where I grew up, Three Arch Bay, whatever. You always saw them at the beach holding hands. They were there. They were always putting on parties and this and that. The guy was a dentist, very well-to-do dentist. She was a stay-at-home mom. Came home one day. She'd changed all the locks on the house, cleared out the house, cleared out the bank account, and run off with the gardener. What? This doesn't happen to everybody. Even it doesn't happen. What happens? Time of death. You see these old people, 80 years old, holding hands. Usually they're holding hands because if they didn't, they'd both fall over. But anyway, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Deep love. But you got to part. At death till you part. So it all fails. But if we take shelter of Radharani, it never fails. Okay, so we've got an alternative. Like, what do they do in those game shows? You could pick door number 1 or door number 2. And behind door number 1 is a brand new washer. Behind door number 2 is a Hawaiian vacation. And behind door number 3 is a box of laundry soap. That's the, brand, you don't want that one. But we know what's behind the doors. What's behind this material nature, what's behind this material affection. We know there's nothing behind it. But here's what's behind the door of bhakti, of Srimati Radharani. So, without interruption. She's sweetness personified. She's a fresh young girl. Her eyes are always moving. She is always brightly smiling. She possesses all auspicious marks on her body. She can agitate Krishna by the flavor of her person. She is expert at the art of singing. Gandharvika Gididhari. She's the expert of singers. She can speak nicely and sweetly. She's expert at presenting feminine attractions. She's modest and gentle. She's always very merciful. She's transcendently cunning. She knows how to dress nicely. She's always shy, respectful, patient, and very grave. She's enjoyed by Krishna. She's always situated on the highest devotional platform. She is the abode of love of all the residents of Gokula. She's always affectionate to superiors and inferiors. She's always obliged by the dealings of her associates. Little bit of service, she becomes deeply indebted. That's the nature of Radharani. She's always the greatest amongst Krishna's girlfriends. And last, anyone know the last? She always keeps Krishna under her control. So those are the 25 qualities of Srimati Radharani. 2 pastimes and then we'll finish. Which one to tell? Okay, this is just, on one hand, this is beyond our pay grade. But it's to give us, people read People magazine, people read history, the activities of great people, Romeo and Juliet. But this is what's in the spiritual world. This is the unlimited pastimes of the spiritual world. I don't know about you, but I was raised as a Christian. My parents used to make me go to church. It was, what do you do when you go to heaven? Anyone know what you do when you go to heaven? You got a harp, your wings. I didn't even like harp music. I thought, geez, it's like Muzak, who wants eternity with harp music? Kill me now, No, and what does God do? What does God do? He looks like Lincoln Memorial. The Lincoln Memorial? You ever been to the Washington? You walk up the big steps. He's imposing, He's a pretty stern fellow looking down at you, And God's there, and you step out of the wrong. He's smoting, throwing thunderbolts, pulling the lever. Down into the lake of fire. Jeez, man, No thanks. I don't want to meet him in a dark night. So, but here's what's actually happening in the spiritual world. So just a sample. Prabhupada said that it can be dark and night in the spiritual world at the same time, simultaneously. Evening pastimes, daytime pastimes are going on. You can, if you look at the cover of Bhagavatam, it's confirmed. Prabhupada had that picture designed, cover the first canto of Bhagavatam. You will see all the pastimes in Goloka. And what else is going on there? In that lotus at the center of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. So you can both be in Goloka and you can be in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. It can be daytime, it can be nighttime. Prabhupada said everything is conscious. Prabhupada said the rice will tell you when it's done, and if you're in a hurry, the garlands will string themselves. Chintamani Dham. Okay. Radha and Krishna were meant to be married. Mother Yasoda always thought so. She covered Radharani's hand with turmeric and gave her gifts to take to her family, as in the custom. This is how they developed a thick relationship between the family and the husband and the spouse. And So it was always expected that Radharani would marry Krishna. Kutila, Radharani's mother, accepted the proposal, so it was all set. But ultimately, Purnamasi, who we showed a deity of Purnamasi, and she's Yogamaya, always trying to stitch things up, always trying to arrange wonderful pastimes. So Purnamasi said, no, it'll be sweeter, it'll be more adventuresome if there's Parakiya Ras, if she's not married. She's married to someone else. She's married to Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu is actually Krishna's shadow. Yeah, just grab a seat. Help him have a seat. So it's sweeter. Here's an example. Krishna's expanding unlimitedly, right? So Krishna's sporting with Radharani. Bhagavatam has everything. It has Krishna's Leela. There has to be a mean mother-in-law. Otherwise, it's not really doesn't have the full flavor unless there's a mother-in-law. So the mother-in-law, what is her name? Jatila. Jatila. She catches. Something's fishy. Something's going on here. She'll come into a room, and the curtains will be, just like somebody just jumped out the window. It'll smell very like Krishna, but Radharani's just, knitting or making a garland, and nothing to see here, So Jatila was just about to catch him. And she heard that she could hear Krishna's flute. She heard Radharani's ankle bells. All right, they're on the bank. So she went to get Jai Radha. So Jatila, she comes. I'll say that for another time, because it's a long story. Still, so we're back to the marriage. Still, Purnamasi, who is Yogamaya, called it off because Parakiya Ras, his boyfriend, girlfriend, paramour, is sweeter. Anyone know Prabhupada's classic example about a paramour? What is it, Dravida Prabhu? She's very carefully doing all of her duties in her life because she doesn't want anyone to suspect, but she's always thinking, when will she meet her lover? So she's saying the same. Prabhupada says, in the same with devotees, we're not irresponsible, whether we're a household or sannyasi, whatever our role in life. We do it very carefully. We do our duties. But we're always thinking how to please Krishna, how to serve Krishna. That's the difference of a devotee's mind. So, Parakiya Rasa is sweeter, this boyfriend-girlfriend. Still, Mother Yasoda loved Radharani. One day, sending gifts in a beautiful box, Krishna saw the pile of jewels and planted them. This is, he saw his father planting seeds. So he took some pearls, he planted them, and they grew up and became there's that wonderful, became a beautiful, pearl tree, picking pearls, big pearls. Gopi said, oh, we'll do this. They planted all those, nothing came up. So it was known that Krishna's pearls, if planted, would grow these pearl trees. So Mother Yasoda sent a whole box of pearls to Radharani's mother. Abhimanyu thought, I'm going to be rich. I'll plant all these fantastic. Radharani's husband, Abhimanyu. This is my lucky day. But Krishna hid himself in that box. When Mother Yasoda was taking it, he hid it in the box. And he made it so heavy that Abhimanyu just had to put it down. Mother Jatila, she brought it in, put it in Radharani's room. And They're in the private quarters. The door, like a jack in the box of pearls open. Krishna jumps out and he's sporting with Radharani. So this gives you some of the idea of some of the pastimes. Krishna was sick. It was actually due, well, I guess I'll read this one. And we'll end with this, because we'll save more for tomorrow some other time. So Radharani is gambling with Krishna. And in the course of that gambling match, people are making different wagers. Finally, he's down to his last, what is his last most valuable item? He gambles his flute and loses it in the gambling match. So Radharani takes it and hides it. Jatila comes, the whole thing breaks up, everybody scatters, looks like they made a safe getaway, and the flute falls out of Radharani's sari. So she says, that Krishna. So Jatila says, no more going to Krishna, no more cooking for Krishna. She blocks her from cooking for Krishna. Unable to cook for Krishna anymore, Radharani became completely distressed and weak. Lalita hatched a plan. Tells Jatila that Radharani has been bitten by a snake. Her daughter-in-law is going to die. She's been bitten by a snake. That's why she's so weak. What do we do? Jatila looks everywhere for a snake charmer. Finally, she finds a famous Brahmin woman snake charmer at the house of Gargamuni. This famous snake charmer just appeared on the scene. Anyone know who this famous snake charmer is? What are one of the 64? Krishna learned 64 arts when he went to Gurukula. And one of them was not math, calculus, and American civics. What did he? One of the things he learned when he went to the... Of course, Krishna's the knower of all things. He learned how to disguise himself. Different... And you read about great kings, Akbar, so many... They were able to disguise themselves and travel. You know, Alexander the Great. There's so many stories. Ramchandra, they would disguise, you know, like that. So, Krishna disguised himself with his snake charmer at the house of Gargamuni. Jatila shows up. Oh, coincidentally, it happens to be this famous snake charmer. Now, this snake charmer, it's a woman snake charmer. And she says, I'm not going. I'm not leaving Gargamuni's ashram. That Krishna's out here, and he may capture me and pollute me. I've heard about him. He's a debauchee. I'm not leaving. So you can imagine the thing gets very intense. I'm very pure-hearted, this is Krishna saying. And that Krishna's looking somewhere. He may jump out. Finally, Jatila, please, Radharani's going to die. So the snake charmer goes. Krishna in the form of a snake charmer. Now, he goes into Radharani's room. No one else can be there. Says she can't be cured. Krishna in the form of snake. It's impossible. Can't be cured. It's beyond my ability. Jatila is just completely crying, completely in distress. The snake charmer says the snake charmer by meditation will go to Kailash, Mount Kailash, and ask the king of the cobras what to do. But must do so by meditation, so everyone has to leave the room. Jatila, typical mother-in-law, is outside but listening to the door, listening at what's going on inside here. Krishna, who knower of all things, in the form of a snake charmer, puts on, this is what he does. Krishna says he's playing both roles, pretending to be the snake charmer and the king of the snakes, because the snake charmer in meditation has gone to Kailash and is communing with the king of the cobras. So Krishna's, just like you listen to Amala Bhakta, who can do those two different voices, so Krishna's doing two different voices. So what happens? The king of the snakes says that Radharani has been bitten by a snake because Jatila stopped her from cooking for Krishna. That's why Radharani was bitten. And the benediction was given by Davarsa. Davarsa Muni, Radharani served him so nicely. Davarsa Muni, easily pleased, easily angered. So he gave Radharani what benediction? Davarsa Muni, we read about how she serves elders so sweetly. So Davarsa Muni was so pleased by Srimati Radharani, he gave her a benediction. Anyone know? That whatever she cooked would be just like nectar. She was given that benediction because she wants to cook for Krishna. So, Davarsa Muni gave a benediction to Radharani. What she should cook for Krishna, and whatever she cooks would be like nectar. And now, the mother-in-law, Jatila, is blocking that. So the karmic reaction is that her daughter-in-law, Radharani, has been bitten by a snake and going to die. What to do? So, Her dynasty will dry up. Her daughter-in-law, Radharani, will die. There will be no children, and her dynasty will completely dry up. So you can imagine Jatila has just been turned up to the fever pitch of anxiety. Jatila begs, I will never interfere again. Radharani can always cook for Krishna. So that's how it was, the debacle was resolved. Okay, we can end there. And Dravitapur, you want to just close with a poem?